Today we're looking at what's in this box, and it's pretty obvious what's in this box. Tippmann TMC Elite, which is a Magfed paintball gun. Some of the features are already illustrated on the box. So it's a hopper fed or a mag fed. You can fire both, which is great. That makes it really, really versatile. Whatever style you want to play, you can go both ways with this. And then it shows you all the accessories it's got in there. So you've got a dummy mag, you've got two 20-round mags. Let's open the box. Let's take a closer look. So inside we have your Tippmann TMC. So that is cast aluminium clamshell body, which is kind of like almost all Tippmann guns. So they're all pretty much that sort of cast alley clamshell system, and they all, I mean, it's been around since the dinosaurs. They all have an inline blowback system. So that inline blowback system was used on their 98, which is probably the best-selling paintball gun of all time. So that's what if you've ever played on a rental field, that's what you'd be using, or a variation of that. So there was clones of the clone of the clone, and they all used that inline system. And it's been around for ages, and it's been around for ages because if it ain't broke, why fix it? And this is what this uses. Really nice feature of this is front end of it, you've got this aluminium, kind of looks like a free floating handguard, isn't quite free floating. You've got to take this bolt out to fit. I'll just show you that quickly. It's a 98 threaded barrel. So any 98 threaded barrel will fit it. You'll need something that's 10 inches, well probably 12 inches or longer if you're using the handguard. So let me just grab an Allen key and I'll show you how to fit that. Really, really simple. This comes out. I'm going to give it some gentle persuasion. There we go. That goes in there. Barrel in, so that's 98 threaded, just to show you. So you've got, it sort of flares, so in some parts it's 7/8 and in other parts it's 1 inch diameter barrel, and that's that. Got a couple of rigid, they look like they're flip up sights, but just rigid plastic sights on there. There's the 20mm rail, so you can fit any 20mm rail, any scope that fits a 20mm rail on top of there, or if you want to replace these sights with something a little bit better, then yeah, anything that fits a 20mm rail is going to fit on the top of the TMC. In the back we've got this, which is a 13CI buttstock. I'm going to show you how that works. It doesn't come up with a 13CI tank, so we're just screwing a Pro Toys tank on there. Good tip with these inline blowback markers is if you get that happening, you need to cock the marker back, whether you've got a cocking handle like that, or you might have a cocking handle on the side, so the bolt is in the firing position. When the bolt's in the firing position, you don't get any air coming through the marker. Now you've got these bits and bobs. This is your guide rail, and that fits in there, and that part should be the smooth part should be facing the bottom of the tank, and that part should be facing down. If you try and put it on the other way, what will happen is you'll snap that plastic guide rail. So simple, you pull that up, and then once it's in place, you can simply press that down. It won't come off unless you want to pull it off. You just pull that off like that. But when it's in the position like that and you're using the trigger, it will just lock into various positions. I think there's 5 in total, 5 different positions that you can have it. So that's it kind of set up, ready to go, almost. One thing I will say is the front end, I love what Tippmann have done with that. I think that looks really good. The cast iron body really resembles an AR, like that. Grip, nice rubberized grip at a nice angle. The only bugbear I've got really is, I think this here is a little bit ugly. There's a company called Dynamic Sports Gear who made one for the original TMC that didn't come with the air through, which I think's a bit nicer. So if you have got one where the ASA is at the bottom, that isn't the Elite, that doesn't come with the air through stock, I would say if you can, get the Dynamic Sports Gear one, because it's just a nicer looking thing. Also, this does the job. It looks okay. Me personally, what I would probably do is take that off, get rid of that, because I really don't like it, and I'll show you I'll show you what I think's a better option anyway. You might not agree with me. I would take this setup, this bit which I really don't particularly like. It's a little bit flimsy, and I would just simply swap it with something like that. Might not be your cup of tea. I prefer it than faffing around with that and that. Just a pad that goes on the end of the tank. One thing before we start shooting this, you've got this. So if you're going Magfed, which is what we'll be shooting, this basically covers up you've got your detent in there, and it covers up where the hopper would go. If that's not on there and you load it, well, it's not good. So that's ready for the mag to go in and to load and fire paintballs from a mag. If you want to go hopper fed, your hopper adapter goes on there, and you use the dummy mag, and then that has the detent in at the bottom. So your hopper would go on there. There you go. Your hopper, you're ready to go gravity fed. You know, whatever size you want. That's just a little tiny little 50 cal hopper. You know, you can have 200 on there, gravity fed. You know, you probably might want to put a bigger tank on the back if you're going for a bigger loader. And then that's ready to fire that way. We're not really interested in going hopper fed. For the purposes of the video, it's mag fed only. Thumb screw goes on there, dummy mag out. And then these are your paintball magazines here. So we're going to load those up and we're going to test this. One more thing while we've got this in our hands is just here's your velocity adjuster. Try and get the right way around. So anti-clockwise, you're winding it out to turn the velocity up. And you're turning it clockwise, you're turning it inwards to turn the velocity down. And what we found is that straight out of the box, to get this firing right, we had to turn it up slightly. We've got a windy mag. I mean, I kind of like this. It's a nod at the real thing to have these plates on the bottom, but sometimes it's quite nice to be able to stand your magazines up, and with those on you can't. It's not the end of the world. So these are 20 round mags. You may be able to cram one or two more in than that. Don't do that, just go with what the manufacturer recommends. We're using graffiti paintballs. There's one that got away. And then you have about a space for another one at the top. So yeah, you just keep that space. We're going to try to see if it fires rubber rounds. What you will need to do with rubber rounds, and I probably haven't said this on previous videos where we've used them, is if you're using them in a spring-loaded mag like this, you're going to need to, especially if it's designed for paintball, you're going to need to put these in a pot, add a couple of drops of silicone oil or some sort of lubricant, and just sort of give them a natural coating, because basically paintballs are almost naturally lubricated. There's a shine to them, and they feed much better. And you will need to do that because the friction, basically, the magazine won't feed these dry rubber rounds. So you wind the magazine back. Don't overwind it. If you do overwind it, you do find that you need to change the springs in there, then I'm almost 100% certain that D-Mag Helix, so the Helix 20 round Helix mag springs will work in the TMC. So let's load them up. So before we shoot, a few safety features. So it's a selector switch. So there's your mode, safe and semi. You're ready to go. Make sure the marker's cocked back before you add the air tank, otherwise you'll just get air coming through the gun. Before we shoot, what I'm going to ask is if you could give us some encouragement and like the video, and if you've enjoyed this video so far, if you could subscribe and sign up for notifications, because we'll be making more videos like this. We've made a lot before this, so you could always go and have a look at those. But if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be great. So let's move on. Let's shoot this thing. Let's see what it does. we've shot it, we've tried rubber rounds, we've tried paintballs. So the first time of using it, it was wildly inaccurate, but we adjusted the velocity on the marker. We turned it up a little bit, and wow, it was hitting the target every time. The springs in these mags are nice and soft. It was stock barrel, yeah, kind of fairly basic Pro Toys tank, just in a real basic inline blowback system in here. I was really, really surprised at the performance this delivered. It was hitting the target every time. I was very, very impressed. Once we've adjusted that velocity, it was incredibly accurate for what is a budget gun. The one thing I would probably say it didn't do very well, it didn't fire the rubber rounds very well. But that is more to do with the spring inside. Because the TMC was never designed with first strike in mind, it's only ever needed to concentrate on one type of spring, so a spring that's suitable for all paint types, and it shot that graffiti really, really well. So what I would say, if you want to shoot rubber rounds, you know, for target practice, I would probably invest in some Helix first strike springs, which are a little bit harder, that will fit into the TMC mags, and that shouldn't be a problem. It will shoot them with these, but not consistently and not well, because it doesn't feed rubber rounds with the springs fitted particularly well. So yeah, that shooting this thing was great. Efficient, accurate, consistency was good. Really, really surprised me. You know, really surprised me. Terrific shooting gun, really. If you're looking for an entry level or a budget gun, I don't think you can go wrong with a TMC. Probably the only one drawback is you can't shoot first strike without doing some serious modifications to it. So I said, if first strike is going to be your thing, then this isn't going to be the gun for you. But if you just want something where you can use it, you know, for Magfed, you can use it for hopper fed, then this is a really nice shooting gun. Looks good, despite the ugly back end. Really liked and enjoyed using this. It really surprised me, as you could probably tell. So yeah, that's a wrap for this review of the TMC Elite. If you've enjoyed this, and please look at some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time.